Good afternoon. My name is Tom Vo, and I'm one of the core members in the regional data platform and also managing and leading the local information services team. And I'm joined here with Esri staff, and I would like to, pass it on to Beth and Esri staff for the introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Tom. And yeah, thank you, SCAG, for coordinating this meeting. We're really excited to be giving you guys some insight into the new RDP GIS licensing program. So I'm very excited to see some familiar names here joining our webinar today. My name is Beth Taylor, and I am an account manager for Esri, and I support state and local government or customers within the Southern California region. Also joining me today, I have Alan, who is a solutions engineer who works with me on a lot of SoCal customers as well. And then we've also included Jason, who is our ArcGIS urban expert. And so they will be running through our demo. So let's jump in.
Oh, sorry, Beth. Just wanted to provide some context here.
Absolutely.
So sorry. Thank you for the introduction there. And again, I work in the planning strategy department at SCAG, and one of the core members working on this project for a while. And thank you again for your time today, participating in this webinar about the new RDP GIS licensing program. And as you know, it's a new RDP license program. So Beth and the team will be giving you a lot of great information today and insight about what's new in the RDP licensing program. But just kind of want to take a step back and give you a little bit of context on this RDP and the existing GIS licensing program that we have here. So as you know, the regional data platform is one of the biggest projects that we ever taken, at SCAG and developed at SCAG. So as you know, we launched the platform, the RDP platform, last year in February 2022. And prior to that, it took us a couple of years to develop, to work together with a lot of different pilot jurisdictions and get feedback and develop. So it was a lot of process there to develop this data platform. And, by all means, this is not the perfect platform. So we're still making a lot of changes. We're still making a lot of updates and improvements to it based on the feedback that we received from you, local jurisdictions. So part of the RDP program, one of the benefits that we provided to our local jurisdictions was a set of GIS licenses. So because of that, we were able to provide these licenses to 139 local jurisdictions in the region. And you are, the reason why you're here, because you have received that license or you are indirectly related to the program. So this new program, and the purpose of this new program is to make sure that we maximize the benefit and also provide you the best service from SCAG and Esri team. So with that, I won't go too much in detail here, but I will pass it on to Beth, Jason, and Ellen to kind of walk you through the program and what's in it. Thank you.
That's a great summary, and we're definitely looking forward to kind of giving you guys a little bit of insight into that. So can you see my screen for the?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so just to kind of add a little bit more overview to what Tom's already said, for today, what we really wanted to do was we wanted to give you a taste of what you could do with GIS, right? So we wanted to show you how you could leverage SCAG standardized data sets and really easily pull that into ArcGIS to create maps, apps, dashboards, all in support of your city or county projects or even future initiatives, right? So our demonstration, we're going to be kicking off off with an overview of the RDP. So as Tom mentioned, it's something that's always evolving, right? And we want to show you the great work that they have right now with the content library, as well as some available tools. Then we wanted to jump into how you can leverage those standardized data sets and integrate it into the ArcGIS platform. Really giving you a sample of how you can leverage GIS to connect people, locations, as well as data in an interactive, dynamic way. We want to really help you guys work with smart data-driven styles and intuitive analysis tools so that you can really be able to share your insights internally with different departments so you're all on the same page, as well as with leadership or council, or even sharing that information publicly with your constituents. So that's what we'll be covering today in our demo. And then I will actually be wrapping, and I'll be giving you guys some additional insight into the new licensing program, giving you information on what's available, what you'll have access to, as well as some upcoming deadlines. So with that, I will stop sharing, and I will be handing the reins over to Alan to jump into it. But guys, please, feel free to drop any questions or comments that you have in the chat, and then I'll be monitoring it so I can answer them.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you, Beth. All right, so the demo that I'm going to be doing today is mostly focused in ArcGIS Online and how we can integrate some of the SCAG resources into ArcGIS Online. But before we jump into that, I'm going to be sharing my screen. And just want to confirm that you guys are able to see the screen.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So what we're looking at here is the, I think everyone's already familiar with it. And Tom mentioned that you guys are already, have used some of the tools that are readily available. But for those that are not, I just wanted to highlight one of the tools, which is the helper tool. It is the local, as the local jurisdictions and the stakeholders, it'll help you understand your local land use and site opportunities. So we did already have it open. I'm going to click OK. To those that aren't familiar, this is like a really powerful tool that allows you to really narrow down a specific parcel that you're looking for. Based on the two options that you have here, which is standard filters and the ADU filters. All of the data is here. You turn them on and off, and you can find a specific city or jurisdiction that you're looking for. I'm just going to choose some like random one, Cerritos. That's where all the information that you will find. And again, you can really narrow down all of these different filter tools that are available to you. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details about what this tool already does, because I believe that you guys are already well familiar with it. But the item that I did want to highlight here is once you select either from one of the standard filters or the ADU filters, the option to use the two options down here, which is a CSV or downloading a shapefile. These are two tools that you'll be able to use if you wanted to bring content that you've highlighted and narrow down to using these filters into ArcGIS Online. But we're going to dive into that workflow a little bit more. But instead of using the download parcels in the helper tool, we're actually going to dive into the content library. On the main page, I just clicked on the content library. Within this content library, you have 140 items available to you that is authoritative via SCAG. Now, the one that I wanted to highlight specifically is the feature layers, because these are the ones that will go directly in ArcGIS Online. For example, the one that I'm going to search for is a bike. And in this example data set, I'm going to click on bike routes. This is all the information that's available to you. You get a little bit of a preview of all the bike routes within the SCAG region. As you can see, there's the lines, but I'm going to click on View Full Details. And yes, this is exactly what the information that you're going to want to see, because the most critical information about is usually the metadata. You have the metadata, the description here, but if you wanted additional information, I wanted to point out the option here where you can see all the additional metadata that's available and specific to the bike routes information. Then going back, previewing the data, you have the attributes information here. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring this data into my own ArcGIS Online organization. Now, as ArcGIS Online, to those that are familiar, there's several ways to do this. You can either create a map in this option, start a new map, open it up directly in the map viewer here. You can open the item directly in, open it in ArcGIS Online, or you can view the data source. For this example, let's go ahead and view the data source. This brings you to the REST endpoint, and all I'm going to do is take this URL, and I'm going to jump into my own organization, which I have already logged into. From here, I'm going to click on New Item, click on the URL, the same exact URL that I copied earlier. I'm just going to paste it here. Next, give it a different name, demo, SCAG source data. I hit next. Then you're going to see this item added into my own organization. Same URL that it's pulling from is right here. But if you go back to my content, as you can see, the item is now readily available within your own organization. Now, why am I showing this? Why is this important? Well, when you add an item into your organization that's being readily available from SCAG, that means you can use the data and you don't have to worry about the updates for it. Now, if somebody within SCAG updates a point, they delete a point, or they add another point, or you name it, they edit a polygon, that will automatically reflect on your content that you are creating in your ArcGIS Online. So this is the data I added, right? Let's dive into it a little bit further. We're going to open it up in the map viewer. Again, this is now me working within my own organization using the SCAG data. And this is the same exact data source, but now we're within the ArcGIS Online realm. You can add your own in-house layers that you're working with. Click add and say, we're looking at bike routes. Now I am going to add the collision or traffic accident information. As you can see, well, this data is also from SCAG, but if you had your own in-house data, this is where you can really perform in-house analysis using your own in-house data. So for example, this is the data that I pulled in, right? But you can really start applying filters. So for this example, I already went ahead and applied filter just to show the bike routes only within the city of Anaheim. And I narrowed it down to just the bike accidents where it resulted in injuries. From here, you can certainly do some of the analysis that you need. These are the filters that I added. It's loading up, so there they are. But if you wanted to get fancy with it, you can certainly symbolize the points instead of just red dots. And if you wanted to show some of the heat maps, everybody loves heat maps, and which will dynamically show the data. Again, just wanted to point out that this is data that's coming from SCAG, but I'm working in-house. So once you have this ready, once you have that exact look and feel of your web map, you want it to look exactly the way you want it to, you can create a lot of the out-of-the-box applications built in within ArcGIS Online. Some of you guys may have heard of story maps, you may have heard of dashboards. You could even use some of the data for field data collection efforts, such as field maps. As long as that data is there, you're good to go with any of these applications. One example of that is this dashboard application. As you can see, I believe this one was from the San Bernardino Transit Authority, was it, Beth? Yeah, San Bernardino County Transportation Authority. This app looks amazing. It looks beautiful. Everything's working. It's dynamic. But the point that I wanted to highlight here is at the end of the day, this app will be, it relies completely on where your data is coming from. Here, we don't really have any of the fancy tools yet, right? All we have is a symbology, and we added a little bit of a heat map. But no matter what application you build, it's always going to point at this web map that you have. And then where this web map points you, back to the data that where you're coming from. So that's the most absolute critical piece in order to create these web applications that are going to be available for you in ArcGIS Online. And then with that, I want to go ahead and hand it over to Jason to point out another application that is going to be available, which is ArcGIS Urban.
Cool. Thank you, Alan. Okay, let me see if I can take that screen from you. Okay, and can you all see my screen?
You go.
Cool, awesome. All right, so as Alan was saying, we're starting to jump right now into ArcGIS Urban, another application that you do have access to with the SCAG licensing. Now, ArcGIS Urban is our web-based 3D planning tool that helps planners, developers, and even the community kind of come into the singular room with all this great data to make the best possible decisions for their community. Now, ironically, today we just released a brand new update for ArcGIS Urban. So we have changes to kind of how our suitability modeling works and some shareability as well. But most of the workflows are still generally the same for those that have seen ArcGIS Urban. But for those that have not seen ArcGIS Urban, to start, we're in a plan area. So an area that you can kind of define for like site plans, long range planning, TOD planning, any of like those ideas that you want to do, you can do here in Urban. And first, I can click on the details, and this is where you can kind of configure to tell people about what's happening here. So for this specific example, we're in the city of Fullerton, California, and we are going to be taking this downtown transit area. So this is actually the Metrolink Orange Line that connects through Fullerton. And Fullerton said, hey, we know that this is mostly industrial use. We want to kind of reimagine this place as a more mixed use community that's highly sustainable. So using data that's from SCAG, so like the rail districts and everything, you can bring all that data in-house and out-of-house into ArcGIS Urban to help make, again, those best planning decisions. So first off, we can look at the existing conditions, so the existing zoning. So I can go over to my zoning tab at the top right here, and I can kind of get an idea of the different zones that are within my plan area. And we can see that mostly we have this MG zone. So I can zoom in to, let's say, this specific zone here, and I can left click on it, and I can see information about that zone. So we have like a maximum. That's okay. Oh, there goes recording again. And then we can set everything for the setbacks. So on the parcel side, front, side, and rear. So we got 20, 5, and 0 feet. And then once I kind of understand what my regulation is, so what my zoning is allowing me for, I can now switch over to my development tab, which is more focused on my parcel editing and building type allocation, which we'll get into in just a sec. But what's really powerful about all this information is that I can click on my parcel now. I can scroll all the way down. So I can also get information about like, what's allowed within the parcel, like its max height, its FAR, that's allowed, coverage, all that fun stuff. And then I can go over and click on display zoning envelope. And by clicking on display zoning envelope, I can now get a 3D representation of the bulk of my zoning. So I can click on my zoning again, just to give it a little more color for a little bit better visualization here. And now I can actually compare, again, what this does look like with the rest of the community. And we can see this looks pretty decent, but again, what we're offering here is something a little more sustainable, something a little more mixed use and higher density. So we're actually going to apply for a brand new zoning change in the area. So to do that, I'm going to switch over to my scenario 1 here, which is called scenario 1 zoning change and build out. You can customize your own custom scenarios to fit with whatever. Oop, maybe not that just yet. Maybe I'll just click on this here and I can go to modify. And by clicking on modify, I can change the zoning. So I can choose either any of the existing zones that Fullerton has, or I can propose my own custom zones. Like, let's say that is R5 right here, or sorry, the RDHDR, Rail District, High Density Residential. And I click OK to apply to zone. And now you'll see that the zone has changed. And if I left click on it, I can get a little more information about what the zone is applying. So again, it's maximum height from 30 feet to 70 feet. It's coverage of 100%, dwelling unit density, 100 units per acre. And finally, allowing space use types. So you're able to choose what specific space uses there will be on that parcel. So multifamily, parking, affordable housing, office uses. Usually what you kind of see with mixed use developments, you can kind of limit here, again, in the allowed space use types. Okay, and now that I have my zoning changed here, I can switch to scenario 1, and you can see we did a little bit more of the changes to the zoning. So we can see that a lot of this now has changed to this rail district, like high density residential, mid density residential. And once I have all my zoning done, I can go to my development tab again. And in my development tab, I can go over to a specific parcel. So let's say this parcel, for example, right? And I can go to my modify and apply building type. So what's really nice is that a lot of this information is out of the box. So like our space uses, you get 17 of them. Building types, you have 49 of them. I always describe building types and space use types as Lego pieces and Lego sets. Building types are your Lego sets. And to build a Lego set, you have to have your Lego pieces, your space use types. So for example, if I go to mid-rise office with retail, it is going to be configured of 4 pieces: parking, retail, office, and some mechanical spaces up top as well. And you can define those floors, how high each individual thing goes. I'll press cancel. And to apply a building type, let's say this mid-density retail with office, I click apply, and you'll see that a building does apply in the parcel. And from here, I can see like the different types of like uses on the parcel, how much square footage there's going to be. And I can also go over to my dashboard at the top here, get information about this parcel. So it's not showing too much right now. Like jobs, I can see there's 238 jobs created, how much wastewater there is, how much daily trips there will be per day. And a lot of this is actually out of the box metrics that you can just go ahead and start playing with. So if I switch over, let's say to scenario 2, which is a full build out of the area, you're going to see these numbers probably jump up a lot. But what's really nice about urban is that you're able to get things like households out of the box, population, jobs, required parking spots versus parking spots that are actually made. This is all information, again, that's out of the box, ready for you guys to start using. But you can also enhance your urban model with your own custom metrics. So these metrics like here, like affordable housing, like how many affordable housing units do I have, how much market value there is for the residential. You can do tax valuation, you can do land valuation, you can do all that here with urban. And these are all built off of our space use types. So if I click on like this here, I can see where all of my different space uses for very low income, moderate income, above it, moderate income units are coming from. I can also do it by metric values if I want to make it a little more colorful to see that this one is probably where most of my moderate income units are coming from. Excuse me. And close out of that. But what's really nice about urban is that this is a system that's not built for just me, like a planner. This is something that, again, that I can work with multiple people with at a time. So I can work with different consultants, different developers that are coming in and saying, hey, I have this highly detailed 3D model, like from SketchUp, Revit, Rhino, one of the 3D modeling softwares that I usually see what developers are using. And they're wondering that, hey, what's this going to look like in ArcGIS Urban with the existing conditions? So what I can do is switch over to this model over here, this scenario, and I will turn off my future buildings. We can see that actually you can add in these highly detailed 3D models as it draws up. And what's really nice about this, it's just taking a little bit, sorry about that. What's really nice about this is that not only am I getting the impacts of my development here, I'm also getting these visual impacts as well of what it's going to look like, even down to the streets and everything. So I adding in streets, cars, trees, benches, all that stuff. We can now get a full look at how this is going to look with the existing conditions. And I can also use some of my tools. So I can look at things like, let's say, shadow cast. So shadowing is huge, right? So with these new buildings, what's the shadow analysis going to be? So I can set things like the time of year. So I'll put today. I'll do my working hours. So I'll do between let's say 7 and 4. And then I can choose areas above a threshold. So I want to see all areas that will have over 3 hours of shadow. And I can also choose the color too. I'm going to leave the color as blue. But now I can actually mouse around and get information about how long each individual area is within the shadow. So 4 hours, 4 hours, 3.5 hours. And if you zoom out or scroll out in areas that don't have shadow, it tells you as well, hey, this area has no shadow in it at all. And not only that too, we can go in and go to our analysis and also do things like line of sight to see if sight lines are preserved. So being able to click, let's say here, and seeing if my view to, let's say, this building over here are blocked, and see that I can put multiple things. And anywhere green is visible versus not green is invisible. And this is all interactive too. So I want to move it, let's say, over here-ish. You can see that my sight lines still do move and it still can't see it. So this is a really useful tool, especially on like the planning side. So you kind of like understand like, what sight lines am I blocking? Is there going to be any like view sheds to like the mountains or anything, which is very, very big here in California. And what's nice about Urban 2 is that it's completely shareable. So I'm signed into my ArcGIS Online account right now, but you can choose an urban model or urban plan to be public so that people can come in and actually look at this stuff without even having to sign into their to ArcGIS Online accounts or even any account. They can also leave comments as well. You get to choose like public engagement and then choose different times when they can comment, and then it shuts it off automatically for you. And then you can go in and get that really good information of like pinned comments, kind of like using like sticky notes on like one of those like maps. And yeah, you're able to get those live comments saying, hey, this looks good, or hey, this doesn't look good. We maybe need to put a park here, or maybe we need to put like, more units for housing. And yeah, that's a quick little look at ArcGIS Urban. I'm going to throw it back to you, Beth, if that's okay.
Do you mind leaving this up for just 2 seconds, Jason?
Yeah.
I did just want to add, so one of the things that we've seen a lot in regards to how Urban is leveraged is it's a combination of having access to ArcGIS Urban, but also leveraging, your consultants. So for example, like when you guys did the housing element update, having the ability to have a consultant do that heavy uplift for you, but then you having the ability to take that uplift and then them just doing kind of like a data dump into your own ArcGIS Online so that you could visualize exactly what Jason is showing you guys here. So it's kind of like this common pattern of use. And then that way, as Jason mentioned, you're able to really dynamically share what the consultant did, maybe with other departments, right? So, how do you share with council a potential project for economic development, or how do you get business buy-in for a particular area? And this is just a value add to the great work that you guys are already doing.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Beth, for adding that in.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and throw it back to you, if that's okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Thank you. Alrighty. So thank you, Jason and Alan, for that awesome demo. So before I kind of jump into the new licensing program, did you guys have any questions for Alan or Jason around, the helper tool or Urban or heat map analysis? Alrighty. Okay, so then I will just jump right in. And can you guys see my slides?
Yep, can see your slides.
Okay, awesome. Alrighty, so the fun part. As Tom mentioned, in continued support of the RDP, SCAG is going to be providing a new Esri licensing program. So local jurisdictions like yourselves can apply for the suite of licenses, and we'll follow up with the link if you guys haven't seen it already, or maybe we can drop it in the chat for how you can apply. But basically, these licenses can be used to support your city or county's planning activities, as well as build out your GIS technological capacity, right? So through this new licensing program, you'll be provided with what you see here, which is going to be that GIS professional license, as well as that ArcGIS urban license. So basically what we demoed here today is just a very, very small taste of what you guys could be doing with your Esri licensing. The way that you want to think of this, or the way you want to think of the GIS professional and urban license is it's a bundle of GIS capabilities, right? So here I just highlighted a very select few that are really popular. But for example, within your professional license, you'll have access to ArcGIS Online, as well as ArcGIS Pro. And those are great for sharing out maps and analysis, as well as utilizing some tool sets for maybe doing that heat map analysis like what Alan showed. You'll also have access to ArcGIS Hub. A great example of Hub, guys, is the RDP itself, which you'll have access to. You'll have access to our office maps. So being able to leverage Power BI maps or SharePoint maps. Field applications are always a really popular one. So you'll have access to Survey 123, Quick Capture, and Field Maps, and then the essential apps, right? So some of the popular ones are Story Maps or Experience Builder or Web App Builder. And then, of course, ArcGIS Urban, which, as Jason showed you guys, is a really great tool for leveraging data for planning, economic development, things like that. So again, you'll just apply, and then once we've received your application, it'll be reviewed, and then you'll go through, once you're approved, after the review and it's approved, the licenses will then be provisioned and can then be accessed through your own ArcGIS Online organization. So having access to the licensing within your own city or county org is going to be incredibly beneficial, because this is going to allow you guys to really take ownership of what you create with GIS. Right, so having this available is going to accelerate how you as a city or county create insights, answers, as well as solutions with map layers, web app builder, as well as those authoritative data sets, right? Today we showed you how you can leverage authoritative data through the RDP, through Esri Living Atlas, or even your own city or county data. So it's all easily integrated within your own org. And then I think this will be kind of helpful. I know this was a question in the chat, but so, how you get started. So as I mentioned before, you apply, and we can follow up with that link. And once you apply, that application will actually be reviewed by Esri and SCAG. It's a collaborative effort. There may be some questions that we have, or if you have questions, or if you want to see something more specific to what your city is working on, we're happy to support that during that exchange, that back and forth. And then once we've gone through that, then what will happen is the next phase is you will receive a quote from Esri. And that quote will basically show the ArcGIS Urban as well as that GIS professional license. And you'll see that thanks to SCAG's new licensing program, those costs are covered or provided by SCAG. And then it's up to the city or the county to cover like that maintenance renewal. So in year 2, if you want to continue to utilize that licensing, great, then you would just start working with Esri moving forward on that licensing renewal. And so I did just want to pause there, because I know I kind of went through like the program, what's included, as well as how you can get started. Are there any? Oh, I see some. Okay, thanks, Joseph, for the apply here. And any questions, guys, before I? Is the renewal at a discounted rate? So the renewal will not be discounted. You get that discounted rate year 1, which is basically SCAG is covering the cost for the new program. So year 1 will be 0, and that's where the savings is. And then the renewal will be in year 2 at normal pricing. A very good question, Yvette. Yep. So what is the price tag or the total for both? So the total year 1 is going to be 0. But if you wanted to renew in year 2, I actually put that cost up here. And this is just an estimate. So for urban, if you wanted to continue in year 2, that would be this cost right here. as well as if you wanted to continue with that GIS professional license in year 2, then it would be the 3,025 right here. And year 2 doesn't start for a year. So for example, if you started today, then you would not have to renew until February 22nd of 2024. So you'd have a full year of access to that licensing from. But another good question, Yvette. Thank you. Alan or Jason, can you guys help me? Like, how recent are the aerial photos?
Does you mean through Nearmap?
John, Nearmap?
Depending on which base maps are being used in ArcGIS Online, some of them are new and are renewed pretty frequently. Again, there's so many different base maps. There's the aerial one, but we have all of that information that we can definitely follow up with, just exactly to show which base map you're talking about, and it is all documented to when they do gets renewed and also who renews them.
John, I think we had a chance to connect a little bit earlier because I believe you guys are using the Google. But yeah, so happy to maybe have a follow-up call after this, but to just add on to what Alan said, depending on the base map that you're looking at will definitely impact like how recent it was done. You know, if you're looking for specific aerial imagery, we have a lot of great partners that we can point you in the direction of if our base maps are not sufficient enough. But I would definitely like to show you what we have. So maybe we can schedule a follow-up call after this to show you the options for those aerial images.
And then also, I just wanted to add to this too is, you know, the new GIS program that we're introducing here is, you know, like I mentioned in the beginning, that it will maximize the potential of benefits and also the service that you will be receiving from Esri. So, you know, in nature, you know, these licenses are maintained and managed by Esri. So, you know, moving forward, if you are enrolling, you know, in this program, you can reach out to Esri directly, and they do have a very excellent customer service. So whatever information that or question that you may need, you can reach out to Esri and they can help you. But that doesn't mean that you can't reach out to SCAG, because, you know, we do work together on this. So, you know, within this program, when you are in it, you can, you know, taking advantage of the first year complimentary first year for this program, and you can also, you know, reach out to us for any additional data that, you know, Ellen and Jason was mentioning, and how to transfer that properly into the new organization.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good point, and I appreciate the collaboration between like SCAG and Esri, and I feel like, you know, as we continue to grow and expand the RDP and all that it offers, I feel like this is going to be a really great fit, just because it allows you guys to take a lot more ownership of what's available and what's out there. And as Tom mentioned, it's a collaborative effort. So, you know, we are happy to jump on a follow-up call with anyone interested in maybe seeing, you know, something a little bit different or something more specific or more relevant to your city or county. And we're happy to dive into that with you as well. That's a good point, Tom. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Beth. And also, just to re-emphasize this again, you know, so you know, we got a really great question there in the chat about the discount rate. So like Beth mentioned, you know, if you enroll today, you're going to have a year, a complimentary, you know, year of service using these licenses here, you know, ArcGIS Urban and ArcGIS Online. So if you do that today, you can take the advantage of another year.
Yeah, absolutely. And we only like scratched the surface on what you guys get with your licensing. So, there's a lot that's available. And then same thing, we're huge on knowledge transfer. So, if you guys have a chance, check out the Planner's Corner. There's a bunch of really great tutorials on how you can leverage GIS. Also, we have the Esri Academy. So, if you're looking for some Learn lessons or YouTube videos, that's all sitting there. So there's a lot of enablement besides, you having your account team and SCAG support. There's a lot of resources and enablement that are available with this complimentary year from SCAG. Awesome. Any other questions, guys? Go ahead and drop them in the chat. I don't see anything coming through. But Tom, how about as a next step, we can follow up with anybody. Also, you guys have our emails up here. Please feel free to reach out to us directly. And then that way we can answer any questions or anything like that. But yeah, looking forward to working with you guys and supporting this new GIS licensing program.
Yeah, thank you, Beth, and thank you everybody for joining today. And again, my contact information is there, also Liz and Beth's contact information there. So I would definitely take advantage of this, and you have really nothing to lose but another year of using these licenses. And if you think that it's not going to be a good program for you, then you don't have to continue. But this is
exactly.
This is really an opportunity to really introduce you to this service and the benefit that you are receiving from the RDP. So so after this meeting, please think about it, and if you are interested, please send me an email or Beth or anybody here with the contact information, and we'll be happy to meet and discuss further or enroll you in the new program. All right. Well, I don't see any questions here, so I think we can, give folks back about 14 minutes of their time today. So,
all right.
Thank you all. Yeah, this was great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good day.